Hello, you. It's me. And damned if there wasn't a whole lot of stuff coming out today. Let's see, there was, I believe his name is David Blanchard. I don't know if they're related. But his interrogation was put up today. And there was a bunch of phone calls from when Gypsy was first arrested and in prison waiting to move to Missouri. A bunch of phone calls there. And of course, there was Ryan's whole live that he did spilling the tea. I'm not even sure where to go. Although I will say something. Generally, I feel kind of pissy and annoyed at so much shit is going down. I get angry. And today I just feel sad. I just feel sad with all the stuff I heard. First, we'll go with Ryan. Ryan really didn't say anything that we didn't already know. He just confirmed it. But I think the saddest thing is when he was speaking on the apology video. And he said that some of those things were heartfelt and he could feel them. It made his mother cry. And it just made me sad for Ryan because he really doesn't understand that, one, I don't remember seeing any tears in that video. She cried like, she was crying, but I didn't see any tears drop. Maybe there were. I don't know. I don't see great, but it just seemed fake and phony to me. But what he really doesn't understand is there was nothing heartfelt about it. She said things that Ryan would find heartfelt. And that's why she chose those things to say, so that he would feel like maybe she was really apologizing, and she wasn't. Not that Ryan is going to hear what I have to say, but I know it's hard to hear when you're dealing with somebody like Gypsy, who in my opinion is a narcissist and a sociopath, psychopath, one of those. They're all very similar, but they do have some distinct differences. But we'll just hit with the narcissistic part. Ryan, she meant none of what she said. She could fake the tears, maybe. I didn't see any crocodile tears, but she faked the noise and the little voice and, oh, I'm just so sorry you fell for a piece of shiz like me. No, Ryan, she didn't mean any of it. It was all baloney. She's still trying to string you along. She's still trying to poke the bear and make you think that somewhere deep inside she does care about you to keep you on her side. But that's not it. She doesn't care. Now, he did say that it looked performative to some degree. Some of it did. And she was just doing it to save her ass, to try to look better, which is definitely a Gypsy thing. But there was none of that was heartfelt. It was obvious. None of that. Now, the other thing, let's see, besides Ryan, what else do we have? Oh, yes, we have the tapes of the conversations that Gypsy had in prison when she was arrested and all that. I think this was before sentencing or anything. It was when she was first arrested. And the thing that I felt was so interesting is, one, you have to say your name so that when the other person is taking the call, they know who it's from. And she didn't say like Gypsy Rose or Gypsy, or anything. There's no desperation in her voice. There was no concern in her voice. It was just Gypsy Rose. And I just thought, who the hell says it like that when they're in prison waiting to be tried for committing murder? It was so weird to hear the way she said her name for the recording. But anyway, to sum up, the conversations that she had not only with Christy and Rod, but an Aunt Celeste who was Rod's sister, and another aunt on her mother's side, uh, the Petrie side, a sister of her mother. They all believed her to be innocent, and it seemed like in the conversations that was played, Morgan Elena was the one whose recordings I heard of that. So you can go check on our channel and listen to them yourself. But really, it just sounded like all she wanted to say is, I'm innocent, I'm a good girl, which is the same thing she said in her interrogation or while she was waiting. I'm a good girl, I couldn't do anything, you know me, you know my heart, I'm a good girl. And even then, Dee Dee's sister was putting off Dee Dee like there was something weird or strange about her, which I thought was odd because now they're like flip-flop, totally different. I don't know. Even I believe she was the one who said, yeah, you just wanted to get away. I can understand that. And I just thought, what a weird thing to say. The daughter wanted to get away from your own sister? I mean, well, what are you talking about? I just thought that was very strange. And that could have been, they could have already said the Munchausen by proxy at that point, so maybe they were believing that because they couldn't believe, sweet little innocent sick gypsy. She couldn't do anything, right? Excuse me. And I did see another video. It was another family member, a gentleman. I can't remember his name. But he said he hadn't seen Gypsy since she was about 4 years old, but that he believed that Dee Dee was abusing Gypsy and making up these wild tales. It sounded very made up. But yeah, I don't think that side of the family is all that great either. I thought maybe they were a little bit more supportive of Dee Dee and wanted justice for Dee Dee. I don't know that I believe that now. The whole family on both sides are wacky. Anyway, so I heard all that, and like I said, that's basically it. Just Gypsy and her, oh, hi, Daddy. Hi, Christy. I mean, just, that high little voice, and, oh, today's not been a very good day. And it's just, ugh, yuck. It's like none of your days should be good days at this point. You should still be in prison, quite frankly. But I digress. Yeah, the phone calls, the conversations, there wasn't really a lot to it except her declaring continuously, that she's a good girl, that she couldn't do anything or hurt anybody, and there might be things that come out about her, but they're just not true. She's innocent, her horrible boyfriend did everything, and whatever. We know that's not true. Anyway, so there's that. And then the last thing was David Blanchard. I believe that's his name. And I think he was the one who actually found Dee Dee. He went through the whole thing of how the police were there because he wanted a wellness check because he was concerned. And he ended up breaking into the house, going through a window. I thought it was funny because the cop that was talking, or detective that was talking to him, I don't know which it was like, well, what do you mean? And the guy said, David Blanchard said, well, I asked him, are you going to arrest me if I go in here? And the police officer said, I'm just going to go over here around the corner. In other words, you do it, I won't look, and then you won't get arrested. I don't know why that just struck me funny, but it did. But this is a guy who was far more familiar, had been around Gypsy and Dee Dee, and he said point blank, Dee Dee put Gypsy on a pedestal. He believed that Gypsy couldn't walk, even though she could. And he thought that she was around 18 or 19. Now, I don't know if Dee Dee said this, if Gypsy said this, if this was just the impression that he got. But I still think it's very telling that he was saying that Dee Dee put Gypsy on a pedestal, and whatever she wanted, Dee Dee made sure that she would get it. Does that sound like an abusive mother to you? Because it sure doesn't to me. And to me, out of the whole interrogation, that's the one thing I found most interesting, as somebody who's been around the family, not up to the age of 4, not a long distance relative that she's seen never, or once or twice in her life during a family reunion or something, but somebody who was around them quite a bit. He met them through one of the Comic-Cons. Apparently she went to quite a few of those, and they even made a outfit for her to wear. It was some kind of a charity organization where they would dress up as evil characters and I guess collect money for the charity. I listened to it. I heard it. It was something to that effect. And they made a costume for Gypsy to, I guess, participate. But here's the guy who's around them a lot more than it seems most family members, and saying Dee Dee put her on a pedestal and did everything she could for her to give her what she wanted, no matter what it was. That sounds right. That sounds right. And I just think back, I think backwards from right now till back then. And I definitely believe that Dee Dee was behind a lot of things that were going down, that, the fraud about how sick her daughter was and conning people into all these things. But Gypsy herself said at the age of 6, she didn't tell anybody that she could feel her legs because she wanted her mother's love. I don't know, but, let's be fair though. 6-year-olds do think not necessarily rationally, or they just don't explain themselves clearly. So for whatever reason, I believe that Gypsy played it up a lot more. And I think, it's my opinion, that Dee Dee was just trying to give her the best life that she could. And I don't think Dee Dee thought anything that she was saying was false. I don't think she committed all this fraud. I think a lot of it was, or most of it, or all of it, was Gypsy. Now, I want to be clear. Gypsy was a sick child. She was very sick. I mean, she had all these symptoms, all these problems, but they couldn't fully diagnose her. They didn't until she was like 21. So her whole childhood, she had all these problems. She had problems with her eyes, her ears. She had problems with not being able to thrive, which is why she had the feeding tube. And I don't know if they told Dee Dee that Gypsy might have cancer, but they did tell her things like, oh, it might be muscular dystrophy, it might be a whole slew of things, because the symptoms of the microdeletion disorder that Gypsy does have and is confirmed mimics a lot of these other things. And I think that Dee Dee, I mean, could you imagine having a child who's sick all the time? They do all these trials, they do all these things to try to help her, and nothing works. They can't fully diagnose what's wrong with her, because although she does show symptoms of one thing, it's not enough to actually say that's what it is. I think she was just following what the doctor said. Oh, the doctor said she has this, so I guess she has this. You know what I'm saying? I don't know that she was trying to falsify any information in order to get Make-A-Wish or whatever organizations were helping her and Gypsy to go to Disneyland or Disney World, or, swim with dolphins, whatever. They did so many different things. I can't help but wonder, was Dee Dee actually falsifying information? I don't think so. I think she was just giving out the information that the doctors told her. Now, did things change over time? Yeah. Was Gypsy a lot less sick as she got into her teenage and adult years? Yes. She wasn't as sick. She did use a wheelchair. The wheelchair made sense because her microdeletion disorder does make muscles very weak. So it does make sense that she was in a wheelchair, but she didn't have to be in a wheelchair all the time. Did Dee Dee play it up? She might have. I mean, there's still the question of why she would shave Gypsy's head, and that was supposed to be pretending to have cancer and going through treatments. But I wonder if there's other reasons, because Gypsy is the one who claimed her mother shaved her head to pretend to be a kid with cancer. Gypsy said that. And we know how reliable Gypsy is. In other words, not. In my opinion. But I wonder how much of that information was actually fraud. Because when you have a sick child, you do want to do everything. And she was going to many different doctors, specialists and things, because they didn't know what was wrong with her until she was an adult. I would be frantic. I would go around the world. I would find every doctor possible to try to figure out what's going on with my kid. And if organizations were approaching me, or I tried to approach other organizations saying, hey, my kid is sick, can you do something special for her? I mean, why wouldn't you do that? I'm not saying that Dee Dee was a saint, because I don't know. I never knew her. But listening through other people talk about her, I find it very interesting. I think, this is my theory, and mine alone, not facts, just a theory. From everything that I've seen, I think Gypsy was cruel to her mom, abusive to her mom. And I think that Dee Dee knew how messed up her daughter was. And I think she tried to protect her by keeping her away from other people. I think Dee Dee knew that she was violent, had violent tendencies. But this is my opinion. I think that Dee Dee tried to keep her home, to keep her safe, not for her safety, but for the safety of other people around her. I think that Gypsy, in my opinion, is violent beyond what we know. But what we do know is that Dee Dee was nearly decapitated. And only one person out of the two that were there have displayed that much anger and rage. And that's Gypsy. I think Dee Dee knew. And I think she was trying to protect the world from Gypsy, and trying to protect Gypsy so that she wouldn't get into trouble and end up in prison. That's my theory. That's what I think. And it just makes me sad. It makes me sad that a mother devoted her life to a sick child, devoted her life, covered up all the things that Gypsy did, covered it all up, anything violent, cruel, stealing. I believe, in my opinion, that Dee Dee covered all of that to try to protect Gypsy because she loved her that much. And to protect the people around her so that they wouldn't get hurt. That's what I believe. That's my opinion. After seeing all those interviews and listening to what people were saying, and Gypsy herself, that's what I think, which is truly a psychopath, in my opinion. It just makes me sad more and more for Dee Dee. She didn't deserve what she got. And now Gypsy, what she's getting, she doesn't deserve either. But she is spiraling. It is getting more and more evident. And again, it makes me concerned. It makes me concerned for Ken, for Aurora the baby. I think Christy and Rod are not going to have as close communication once she's off parole. Mia seems to be kind of divorcing herself from her sister too, because I think they're starting to see the cracks. She's not the nice, sweet, innocent, I didn't do anything kind of girl. That's not her at all. She's manipulative. She plans things out and executes them. And she's gotten better at it as she's gotten older. So, still very concerned, but also just sad. Sad that Dee Dee had to pass away that way. Sad that Nick got caught up in this whole crazy thing and really got the shaft for it. It's sad for Nick's mom, Stephanie. It just, all around, it's just sad. Gypsy brings sadness and destruction to everybody. You know, Ryan is not, the best guy, but he still didn't deserve to get treated the way she treated him. And for her to actually cry and say, I can't believe that you betrayed me. Ryan was like, excuse me? Excuse me, ex-wife who, while married to me, left me for another guy and got pregnant immediately? That's not a betrayal? I mean, she's a whack job for sure, in my opinion. But, yeah, a lot of stuff comes out. But to me, today, it just made me feel sad. Dee Dee did her best to protect the world from Gypsy. And she got sicker and sicker and just couldn't put up enough of a fight. And that's sad. It's really sad. Anyway, let me know what you think. Send me all the great comments because I love it. I appreciate all of you just for listening. And that's all I got to say.